It's audio about music. Guys.
Hello friends, I'm at work right now, and today is July 16th, meaning that July 17th is tomorrow, meaning that 2 years ago from that date, I released my first album. So what better idea than to make it a video about music, if you will.
Hello friends, it's July 17th, 2022, and you know what that means? I'm just kidding, you don't know what that means, but I do. It means that 2 years ago today, I released my first album under the cake name, A Wall Full of Foes of People Who I Don't Know, which I like to call, for the sake of this for this video, I'll call it Alpha Pop. It used to be Alpha Pop Wittick, using the whole acronym, but Alpha Pop it is, whatever's simplest. From the last 2 years up until now, I think that I've changed a lot as a musician, and as a producer, that comes out horribly because I didn't even mix my own recent album. But I know how to produce a lot better now, and I figured that it would be a great thing to do just to look back at it. So today, I listened to it in the car. I could not record me listening to it because I did it through my phone. So here's a clip of me doing it. Yeah, very exciting. But I also listened to it properly with headphones a couple of days back, so I think I'm qualified to talk about this. So let's just get right to it. Track number 1, Leaves. This song has shown up so many times in my music. It used to be a chiptune song, and then it got remade over and over again. You'll find it over and over. And the melody to it shows up in my most recent album, Songs for Educators, I think twice. So you wouldn't realize that unless you really focusing it, but I think it's pretty cool. I do think the mix for this one is pretty funky. The intro has way too many fucking the little high notes, and that's a major issue with this whole album. When I was doing harmonies, I almost never re-recorded them. I do it once, just blindly harmonizing to it, and I'd be like, yeah, that was good, and then I could have done it again, but then I didn't. So that's what happens. The second half has too much instrumentation, and it didn't really need that extra xylophone or the trombone, which you probably didn't even realize were in the song, which kind of proves my point to begin with. Something that I will give it a plus for, though, is that I still drummed anyways, even though at the time, this is in high school, right? So yeah, I had no consistent drum set, and the one that I had that day was a marching band snare, so yeah, that's how it is sometimes. I might have a pick somewhere, so I'll pull it up. Yeah, bada bing. I'm gonna have trouble rating these. I don't want to beat myself up too much, but I guess I'll give this one a 7. Does that count? Sure, it's a 7. Track number 2, Only So Much. This one, it's I think it also suffers with the instrumentation thing, and also I think a lot of the issues were with recording it. Another thing is I would keep my first vocal takes, and I just never redid them. Same thing with harmonies. It's there are some songs on the B-side of the album where I actually redid the vocals, and they sound a lot better. But for some reason, I was so determined to keep them the way they were, and luckily, I did fix that issue with my next album, and you can tell I have the best takes of everything, and I'm just so proud of it. But yeah, with the recording, a lot of the people who I did for that brass in the end of the song, I should have recorded it way better, because a lot of them were just big old square waveforms. It did not sound good, and yet I still included it, and I think that contributes to it being the loudest song in the album somehow. Not a good look. I think I will give this one 7 out of 10 too. It's mid. Track number 3, Worth It. This one is a mess. It didn't have the right lyrics on it on the Bandcamp, and it just got done dirty in general. I think songwriting wise, I could have done way better. Because I'm oh yeah, I'm doing it in the key of G like my harmonica is in, so therefore it's gonna be really basic. But no, I could have made a really nice piece. But instead I was like bum ba da bum ba da bum ba da ba. It's like just like, and it works, sure, but like there's this juxtaposition of this very nice guitar chord progression, and you add on the drums that I play, which is like it just stylistically doesn't work together like I want it to. And among other things, in the bridge section, there's a line where I say two different things on top of each other. And I know that can be a stylistic thing, but it just sounds weird to me because both layers are saying almost the exact same line, but one has a different word than the other, you know? That happens twice too, actually. It happens in the after too. Not a good look. The best pro I can give this song is that it ends with a cha-cha-cha. I think I'll probably give this song a 6, sadly. It's not my favorite song, and it's probably my least favorite one, sadly. It could have been so much better. Track number 4, No Promises. The mixing on this one, what I noticed is that the mixing is awful. There is like no bass range, despite the fact that my friend Cammy played a bass clarinet, and I could have made it sound so cool and up in your face. And I think this is part of my issues as a mixer. I didn't know how to make it sound cool, so we had this bass instrument that didn't fulfill the bass role. On the other hand, I think the songwriting is really pretty, and it's one of the better like mixes in terms of like compression and stuff. The recording is really nice as well. It doesn't like sound like super clipped like some of the other songs. And I think in the second half, the little rap that I made together actually works pretty well. I would give this one an 8. Track number 5, Decisions. This one is a mess. I already said that with another song, but this one, it could have been so much more. I have to say that over and over again because there's just too many instruments going on. A lot of them get covered up. My boy Green Guy, he shows up once in this whole album, and it was right then. And then what happens? He gets covered up. It's literally a tragedy. And another issue with the songwriting itself is that I wrote it wrong, basically. I made the bass instruments do notes that didn't align with the chord progression that I wanted. Like, 1 second, I'll play it for you. Bada bing. Okay, so the progression that I had in the end for the final recording was A sharp to F, A sharp to G, and it sounds okay. Where I think I'm a big disgrace, but nobody else can face. Like, that sounds nice and all, but it wasn't the intention. What I should have had, and what I had in the original layer of the ukulele before I started adding on instrument after instrument, was this tension, B to A sharp, where I think I'm a big disgrace, but nobody else can face. So yeah, that's the song where I messed up my own songwriting, and I still look back at it and I'm like, it would have been so much cooler, and I still think it would have been. Sadly, I think I will give this one a 6, just because there's also another thing with this song. This song could have been mixed by Jarek, the lovely mixer that I have for Song for Kids. There's a file that exists of it somewhere, and it sounded decent. I guess I don't think I was ready to have somebody else handle my music at the time. But looking back on it, I think anything would have been better than nothing, you know?
Okay, hi. It's editing Nicole, and I officially decided that I wanted to find the old mix that Jarek sent me, and it took me way too long. So I'm just gonna like put up an image, I guess, and you're gonna hear it right now. Like, I guess I'll give you a timestamp if you want to skip it, but I just want I want to give a taste of what the album could have been, because like, the album was such a mess. I keep on saying that, but I think I had like up to like 14 or even 16 songs for it at one point, right? So the least I can do is just share mix. Yeah, okay, bye. There's too many options here to know which one of these will help us stay sane. Too many options to fear, to know bad things will make me ashamed. Do I have to choose? You know I'm bad at decision making. Do I have to choose? Do you know what the risk is for taking? I don't care what you think.
Track number 6, Someday. This song, I think, this begins the better half of the album, like truthfully, because I started to re-record my vocals around then. Like, Someday is, I think, it's one of the only songs that includes me singing with this mic instead of my old Tascam. And yeah, it doesn't sound too good, and I had like double layers, so on the car speaker it sounded kind of weird, but it was still a better vocal performance because I did it later. And I wish I did that for the songs, you know? I think the lyricism and like the whole songwriting actually works really well. Something that I should have done is have my friend Ray, the trumpeter who played with me during the chorus, to do a re-record with me. Because what we did is that it was like a one-take thing in a practice room. They heard that I was playing, they're like, oh, can I play that with you? And then we did that, but we should have had multiple takes to like actually get it down. But instead, we had us record together that one time for that one take. We didn't even repeat it. And then I'm like, yeah, that's enough. But I should have done more. Again, I just had to learn how to record. Despite that, I still think it was a really pretty song. I think I will give it an 8 out of 10. Track number 7, Disappear. This one is a personal favorite of mine, and it's actually the first song that I released that included my current microphone from Tascam. Yes, that's how late this album was. A lot of these recordings go back as early as 2018, when I still had my old Tascam, and yet, even when I had my current mic, we still did that. It's very irritating to think back on, but you know, that's how it is sometimes. I think songwriting-wise, and even recording-wise, just because of how I had the newer microphone and all that, I think it's one of the best songs, and still one of the best drumming performances I ever done. Like, at the time. I'm a better drummer now, of course. But like, the story behind that, I just have to talk about. So, you know, I was in high school and I was a band geek, right? So, you know, we'd stay after, you know, we'd have our marching band session, then we'd have a dinner break. And then during one of these dinner breaks, I recorded the drums to Disappear. And the thing is, when you have a bunch of high schoolers, everyone wants to interrupt everybody else. I was like that too. But I was in a practice room with a friend, and they were helping me record. And then what happened is that I had one take left before we had to go get ready. And then people started crowding by the door. And then my friend on the inside had to like make these signals. I had a friend on the outside too. Everyone was like pointing at me like, okay, bitch, they're drumming. And then finally people got the message. And that last take that I had, that's the one on the album. I'm so proud of that. I think this is one of the best tracks from the album. I will give it, you know what, fuck it. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Good shit. Track number 8, Just In Case. This is one of my favorite tracks on the album. I think it might be my favorite paired with the next track. I think, you know, it was the first song that really had the group vocals that I utilized so much in songs for edgy kids. And, you know, my vocal performance isn't the best, but my friend Santiago, they did an amazing job with their rap verse and the singing, and just all of it worked together so well. And, you know, I only have good things to say about it. I really only have good things to say about it. I think I'll give this a 10 out of 10. And, you know, this doesn't seem like, you know, this is like, in my opinion, I'm not going to compare it to other songs. Like, among the songs themselves, I think this and the next track are the best. And on that note, track number 9, Verity. This one is the last song that I have released that included my cardboard drums, which I've yet to make a video about because I don't really know how to talk about them. But yes, I used to drum with like literal cardboard tubes on shoeboxes for the longest time, and I had a piece of tissue paper as my hi-hat. So, you know, I had to get that drumming practice in somehow, so what do you expect? But I think the lyricism in this is like super pretty, probably the best in this album. I feel like the taste of water, slightly important, but I just never know why. And honestly, I'm considering remaking this one because just like, okay, I'm gonna make it known right now. This is my 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 if you will. Like, this is my absolute favorite. And the ending of the song is still just resonates with me so well, because I have the chip tune, and it just feels like so like distant, but like it feels really powerful for me. It feels distant, but yet so powerful for me. And truthfully, this is the only song that I actually listened to like before I started going through the album again for this video. This is the song that I went to. I love this song, and the way that it has a hard cutoff at the end, absolutely beautiful. 10 out of 10. 11 out of 10. Speaking of 10s, track 10, Another Sleepless Night. This one I just love the story for, because I spent so long getting better at that finger picking that you see in the intro and just throughout the entire song, and I managed to pull it off. And it's one of the few songs in this album where it's just me, and I think I did a good performance overall. Like, considering what I had at the time, it's also a song where I actually re-recorded. Just like of Someday, I re-recorded it with this microphone, my SM58, and it led to a better performance overall. However, I don't listen to this one that often. The drumming is very grating to the ears, along with many of the other performances I put on this album, where it's just like, you know, not exactly pleasing to the ears. I'm debating between a 7 or an 8 out of 10. Yeah, I think we'll give it a 7 out of 10. Okay, up next, let's really quickly talk about how the album like flows together. I think there are some really obvious issues. Some songs are way louder than others, and that just ties into how I'm not the best producer, and I wasn't exactly comparing the songs to each other that much when I put them all together. I think the order of the tracks still makes sense to me, but I wish that I still had shorter spaces in between these songs. Because when I was listening to it in the car, I'd finish up a song, and I'd be just like, I'd just be like sitting there for like 4 or 5 seconds when it should be way shorter between these, these transitions. So yeah, I guess album flow, I'd give it like 8 out of 10. On that note, as an album as a whole, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Again, just on my own like merit, not comparing it to other songs, just within the album itself. I'd also like to give a quick, and I think before I go, I want to mention the physicals. They aren't that bad. The CD is good enough. I have the art all sorted out. I still have some errors in the lyrics, like of Worth It. Not my best moment. The cassette tapes are a mess. I accidentally bought Type 4 tapes, which is the metal type, as in the best cassette tapes available. And I recorded my very unprofessionally recorded album onto metal cassettes. Chad move, honestly. To add on to that, I also did Dolby Type C noise reduction, which is probably one of the more uncommon types. I want to say the most uncommon, but I can't say it for sure. It just wasn't a good look for me. The cassette tapes themselves have a cut in a really weird spot, and what I should have done is have more space at the start of the A side, because what happens is that you start the A side, is that you finish up Sunday, the last song of the A side, you flip it around, and then you're already like halfway through Disappear, the next song in the album. Not my best moment. It could have been done better. I think I redeemed that like as soon as possible with my next big release, the Everything Burned Together EP, which I'll talk about at some point when that anniversary rolls around. Yeah, just reviewing it to myself, because I admit I can't review my own music that well, I would give it an 8 out of 10. Not the best, not the worst. I still wouldn't listen to it that much on my own. Again, there's like 2 or 3 tracks I'd actively search out. In the future, we might see some remakes, Verity especially, but for now, I think that's everything. So thank you for watching, and you'll have some laptop ramblings after this, so bye.
Okay, hi, here's a drum set photo, very funny. I'm not sure what else to say. Thanks for watching this. I know it's a slower video, and yeah, I feel cool making more videos. I will see you in the next one. Yeah, bye.